In February of this year, I made 18K in commissions as a high ticket closer. And I was on a dating offer, which was what the industry calls tough. A dating offer, it's emotional. Prospects have a lot of fear. I had to handle objections. It wasn't the easiest offer ever, but I made a bunch of money and I had multiple months where I did 10K, 15K plus in commissions, leading to me having a whole bunch of freedom. And in 2023, I was in a terrible place. And then I invested in sales training and got better than everyone else in that program very, very fast. Started training a lot of the people, a lot of the guys I was with inside the program, some of who are my friends now, training them for free and started helping them. And a lot of people wondered, like, how did I get good at sales so fast? How did I become a remote closer who was producing at a high level, who was making really good money, doing better than most of his peers so quickly? It didn't take me this 2-year journey to stumble around in the dark and figure it out. And I'm going to explain to you how. A lot of it was my mindset. A lot of it came down to mindset. And if you're a closer and you want to make a bunch of money and you've been in this game for a little bit, you're hopping from offer to offer, or you feel like you're stuck at a revenue ceiling where you're making 3K, 4K, 6K, whatever it is, but you're not where you want to be. A huge part of it is your mindset. A lot of it comes down to mindset, and I'm going to break down to you the 5 mindsets that I adopted that helped me change my trajectory as a remote sales pro, as a closer. I am very under the weather right now. My throat feels like it's gonna break. So if I start sounding weird, don't judge me, please, or judge me, but take the value at least from the training. We're gonna make this one really valuable. So I'm gonna give you a couple mindsets that I used. Apply these how you want. Plug them into your game. But what I found is that me adopting these mindsets, and they're very weird. They're not stuff that you're gonna hear from everyone else. Like, because I think really, really weird. I'm a weird guy, straight up. Like, it's not gonna be mindsets that you hear from everyone else. Like the classic work hard, bro. I mean, there's elements of that, but we're gonna go really deep here and on some psycho shit. So, but it will make you money. Like if you can apply this, which most people won't apply, but if you can apply it, it will make you money. That's how I was able to make money and have a whole bunch of freedom in my life, where I can travel. I can fly business class to Tokyo, surprise my girl with tickets to do that, right? Like that's what we're doing. That's what I did. So, I mean, I'll break down to you the mindsets I used to make that happen and to build that freedom as a closer. So the first thing is, and this is a big one, this is the most important one for everyone, is I stopped treating sales as a get rich quick opportunity. And I started doing what I call respecting the game. What was interesting is I got into sales out of desperation. So some of you may know this already, some of you don't, but I was a dating coach for a very long time. So I built a dating coaching business. We were doing like 8 to 10K per month. Some months were like crap. I was doing terribly at some months, and then some months I'd make like 12K, right? And I was running this dating coaching business, teaching guys confidence skills, teaching them how to approach girls and all that stuff, kind of the whole pickup thing. And I did okay. I was very, very good as a coach. I was amazing at coaching, but the business side hadn't worked very well for me. I was making 100K a year some years. Like 2021, we did good. 2020 actually was really good. Then 2022 was atrocious. It was terrible because I lost sight of what I wanted to do, and I just didn't love it anymore. 2023 was bad. I worked with a business partner. We had a falling out, and things didn't work out. We like ran out of money essentially, and I got down to the point where I had a couple hundred to my name, $100 left in my business account. And again, I don't need to repeat all this because if you've seen any of my videos, you know this. I've talked about it, but what happened was I got into sales because I hit a point of desperation. I was at a point, this is like mid last year, mid 2023. I hit a point where things had gotten so bad and I was in such a place of desperation where it was like, I need a way out. I need a way to make money. And what happened was when I first got into sales, I got destroyed. And again, I ended up doing very well, but I went from being a closer who was not performing well at all, who was not making good money. I was closing at, I think, like 7% of the first offer that I was on. It was really, really bad. Then maybe I had some months where I was like 10, but I got bounced off of it, and the offer got shut down anyways because it was a bad situation. But I think the offer wasn't good either. But still, I wasn't performing well. And what happened was I went from that to extreme success very quickly. In very quickly, like I'm talking 3-4 months. And what happened was the reason why I was able to turn things around is because I got into sales and I started seeing sales at the beginning as a way out, right? I saw it as a business opportunity, what people call in the industry a biz op. It was like, get into high ticket sales. This is a way to make money. And I thought, oh, I can talk to people because I'm charismatic, because I know how to present myself. I've done all the dating coaching stuff, so I have some confidence. I understand people very well. I get that. I can close. But that wasn't the case because sales, which if you're getting destroyed on your sales calls, sales is a skill. Sales is an art form. Sales is a discipline in which you must respect the discipline in order to be at the place in which you would like to be, to have freedom for yourself. And what happened was a big mindset shift for me was I stopped seeing it as just a way to make money and get out of pain. And instead, I started respecting the game. And I channeled the desperation that I had to make money and to be able to like buy Christmas presents. Funny enough, we're at Christmas now, and last year I could barely afford Christmas presents. At this time I had started making good money with closing, so we weren't bad. But the year before was terrible. But last year around this time I wasn't like fully where I wanted to be at all. We were able to buy some gifts, but it wasn't crazy. But I was on a roll and I was making money. But but last year, like being in a position where I needed cash, I needed money, and when I got into sales, I was like in a desperate place. Being in that position was so interesting because it fueled me to just get into the game of sales. But it wasn't the thing that helped me get really good. I mean, in a way it was, but not really. I'm going to tell you more about that later as we go more into the points. There's a lot we're going to get to here, trust me. So one of the things that I realized was, and I don't know exactly how the shift happened. It happened in some weird way for me. I realized that I know what happened. I kept getting destroyed. I kept losing on my calls. So I was seeing my income capped at like 2 grand or like 1,500, which was not enough to even like pay my bills, right? And that happened for about 2 months. And I was like, this can't keep going on. This can't keep happening. So I realized that it wasn't enough for me to be like, I have to do sales as a way out. It was like, I have to respect and master the game as a way out, because there was so much pain and frustration, but I was channeling all that into the wrong thing. I was channeling it into like, let me do sales and try to get good at or try to just do sales. And sales will be the thing that gives me freedom. But I had to channel that into let me master the game of sales. And then that developed a love for the game where I started taking it very seriously. And that's the version of me you see now where I obsess over the game of sales and I love the game because it's mastery and I love mastery, right? So now I don't need the money. Our business as well. We have great people we're working with and all that. But this all stemmed from the idea of mastery. So what happened was I stopped treating sales as a get rich quick opportunity. I stopped treating it as like again, what you see in the marketing out there online. You know it's like this, man. If you're watching this, or lady, if you're watching this, you know it's like this. Everyone's like, hey, there's this new opportunity in the market where you can sit on your laptop making $10,000 a month taking calls, right? And that's how you scale a program, actually. All these guys are coaching this. So you have to do that to market to the masses. Everyone sees it, oh my God, I can jump in and make money. It doesn't work that way. And what a lot of people won't talk about, and this is going to be a huge part of our dialogue and our conversation here, is the people that are at the top in sales, like those sales professionals that make the most money. It's a very small percentage of them. So like, let's say you get 100 sales pros, 15 of them are doing really well. 15 of them are doing well where they're doing 10K plus. Then you have another, I'm talking closers. Then maybe you have another 10 that are doing like 5 to 8K maybe that. And then everyone else is just hopping from offer to offer, stuck at 3K, 4K. Maybe they have a month where they do 5K and get all excited about it, but that's it. And they stay mediocre because that's what happens in this game. That's what happens because you're promised, your consciousness is aligned with, hey, just make money online and solve the problem of desperation. It's not, hey, solve the problem of desperation by committing to a path of mastery. Right, which is what I train our people on, why our program is so tough, and why a lot of people who find out about our program are like, this isn't for me yet. And I reject people because our program's fucking hard. Like, it's really hard, right? Because the priority is mastery. Because once you have mastery, and this is what happened to me, once I started to master the game and took the game very seriously, which means I started looking at all my calls. I started watching my calls again, going aggressively into call reviews, all these kind of things. Started training with the right mentor, started aggressively role-playing the right way. Not in a way that was comfortable, but a way that was very uncomfortable. I started looking at more sales technology and sales processes. When I started doing this and respecting and honoring the game, that's when I saw my results increase. And I went from being a closer from 2 to 3K to jumping almost overnight to being at like 8K, 10K, 15K, peaking at an 18K month. And I rode that for a while and then started helping other people get results, you know? So that was one. You can't disrespect the game of sales and expect to squeeze the juice out of it. You could get lucky. Maybe you get lucky on an offer, which a lot of people hope to do. A lot of people hope they get lucky. This doesn't work that way though. You can't predict that, right? And I don't ever want my future to be reliant on luck. I know I never want that for myself. The second thing that I did, and this is really what I think changed the game for me, not just in terms of like I'm thinking differently, but in terms of I'm seeing different results, is I became obsessed with understanding human behavior. Okay. So I really started obsessing over the intricacies of what makes someone make a buying decision. As an example, objections. So I know there's a lot of people on YouTube and not to attack anyone, but there's people on YouTube who talk about objections all the time, right? They have these like little role plays they do where they do objections, and they run through some stuff. We all know the scripting because we all use the same basic shit, and we all get it from the same places. So it's like, hey, do you feel like what we do can help you, or how do you feel? They go yes or no. They say yes. Okay, cool. Why do you feel like it can? And then the coach, I'm telling you about people on YouTube I watch all my competitors. Okay, I watch them, and they give you these corny analogies. They're like, yeah, well, think about it this way. They give you a perspective, and then the person on the role play just is, oh wow, I never thought about it that way. Maybe they give one little bit of pushback, and then the sales pro handles it, and then that's it, right? But what's interesting with me, because I had seen that. Objection handling didn't become as popular as it is now. That's kind of a new wave in the industry. But what happened for me was I stopped relying on little gimmicks and pieces of scripting to try to make my money and to try to take myself to the next level. And instead, I started obsessing about the behaviors. Behaviors, not my behavior, but behavior of meaning what causes this person to buy. So, as an example, objections, like I just ran through you, that's a very superficial version of objections, right? And I've posted a bunch of my stuff on YouTube, so you can go through the sales playlist. And if you see anything with me with objections, you'll understand how I think about it. And I don't really teach it at a very basic level. I teach it at a very advanced level to get you making money. Because if you understand it at an advanced level, human behavior, you'll make a bunch of money. It's hard to understand it, but once you do, you're set for life and you're better than everyone else in the game, genuinely, right? So what happens is with objections, a lot of people who learn objections learn it through, hey, here's the lines and analogies and frameworks to just use when you hear this sentence from someone, right? They don't understand the root causes of what makes someone make a buying decision on a call. Even the people teaching it don't fully understand that. I happen to, because was in the dating space for a long time, and I understood what causes women to invest in a man. A lot. I studied the psychology, the behaviors, the communication, and I plugged that into sales, which gave me an advantage. So I'm not saying that it was very hard for me to do this. I mean, it was hard, but I learned how to do it because I had a big advantage, and it was easier for me to get there than a lot of people. But I begin to focus on the human behavior. I begin to focus on not the gimmicks. I begin to focus on like what causes this person on a call to move forward into a buying decision. Not the script, not the little line I use, but what's actually going on in their heart. What's the fear? What are they afraid of? What is the thing that they're moving away from, that they're not surrendering to? And how can I speak to that? And how can I use my understanding of that to help them move towards a buying decision? How can I understand the logical base that they've set for themselves that is causing them to say, hey, not now. How do I understand that? And how do I move them past that? Right? And I honored that. It goes back to, again, the first point, which was respecting the game. I honored that. And it allowed me to lead. It allowed my energy to grow. It allowed my energy to expand, and for me to become the closer who could stare at a scared man, because I was running the dating offer, which was an amazing offer to practice on and get good at. A scared man, stare him in his face and say, well, brother, let me ask you this. At the end of the day, like, you doing something for the first time and you being that individual for the first time, being that man, is something that you're either going to have to decide to become and say, I'm willing to be that person and step up for myself, or you're going to say, I'm not willing to be that man. And that's an active decision you can make here. Like, let me give you an idea, bro. Have you ever driven a car before? And then we go into an analogy. But I'll hear closers who are even like coaches on YouTube just throw out these analogies, and I'm like, dude, the prospect wouldn't really close in real life. They'd give you pushback. You're on a great offer with great marketing, working for an influencer who's like quite popular in the space, and he's doing all the marketing, so everyone comes in just kind of wanting to, like, you know what I'm saying, and just join, right? You're not really like honoring and respecting the game. You'd get cooked if you want a hard offer. Like, you'd get destroyed for a fact, right? It's a real thing. And a lot of closers are on offers that are not the easiest, right? Like, I made my money on an offer that was decent, good company, good values, good people. I love everyone there. They're amazing human beings. But as a business, there were a lot of things that weren't worked out, right? Setting team wasn't great. Like, a lot of stuff in terms of the messaging and the angles we were taking in the marketing didn't like help all the time. Not to say that it needed to be easy, because hey, life is hard. But I had to learn on that. And the reason I was forced to understand human behavior was because I had to go through the fire of an offer like that. Right, which now is why I can like sell on any offer, and now the people I train, the guys you work with, like crush on any offer they're on, no matter what the offer is. Literally, we have the numbers backing it. Right, the reason that's able to happen is because of the understanding of the human behavior. It's because there were no more gimmicks in how I sold. It's because it was real shit, real psychology, right? Real understanding, real objections, and where things are coming from in the objections. That was the second mindset shift. So for you as a closer, I'll give you something really solid here. If you're a remote closer or a remote sales pro, you're an SDR, maybe you're a setter. I'm speaking to you. I want to speak to your heart for a second. Like, you need to have a real look in the mirror and have a real talk to yourself for a second here. Did you get into this because you were promised, like, hey, you're just going to make some money and you're in all these low ticket cute little communities? Sir, I'm not even joking with you, man. Or is it, I got into this because I want mastery over this skill set, and I'm going to use that mastery to fuel the best life that I can possibly have for myself, because I know I'm set, right? Like today, let's say our business crashed. We have a consulting and coaching business right now that we're running, and we're pushing $500,000 in revenue. Like the business we're running, and we're going to be at $1 million next year for a fact. The reason, like, let's say that all crashed down, which you never know could happen. I know I'm set for life because I'll get back into the game of, doing high volume calls, and you put me on any offer, I'll be at 35 to 40%, maybe more if the offer is just really good. But you can put me on a decent offer and I'll be cashing out 15K months. Now, 20K, 25K if I put in even more work, right? But the reason's because I respect the game, but not just the game. I understand the human behavior. I understand why I'm saying this shit. I'm not just delivering lines. I chose to understand the deep drivers of human connection, and I chose to invest my time in that. When I got into sales, I chose to dive into it even more than I had as a dating coach. What kind of game do you want to play? It's a real question, right? And not everyone wants to play this game because it's a scary game. It's difficult. It's not easy. The third thing that I shifted was I started taking on full responsibility. So something that I see is missing a lot in the space right now. Not everyone. There's a lot of, it's getting better. People are starting to get better at taking responsibility, but the closers I see who really struggle a lot, they always look at other factors that's not just them. What I did, and something that helped me get super good and maybe find elements of this within yourself that are missing, is I started taking on every single call that closed or didn't close. Every call was my fault. The ones that, if they closed, it was the team. If they closed, like, I wish I could show you my sales meetings when we would do meetings with the sales manager when I first got on the offer, and even the first offer that I was on, which was a shit show. But like, I would take so much responsibility. I don't say this to flex. I'm not saying this to brag, but I want to teach you guys, and there's a lesson here. I would take so much responsibility on these offers, on the offer that I was on, and the other ones that I offer stacked and was doing some side closing for friends, which is why I was able to push higher months. Like, I took so much responsibility, and I always do this. If the call doesn't close, it's my fault. I always look at how I can do better. And to be honest, now in looking back at it, there was a lot of stuff wrong with the setter and the way we were, setting people up for the calls. There was just things that were inefficient. Now, as a sales consultant, I understand that, right? But at the time, I didn't even look for it. It was just like, how can I be better? And I'll be honest with you, a lot of people won't do this because it takes a toll on your mental health. It does. I went to a very dark place during that time. During the span of time from around, let's say around October, which is when I started to get better. It was around October time I started to really see, oh, I can maybe get good at this. Like, I'm starting to see it. And then January, February, I was like really good. And then March, April, I was like insane level, just killing it, right? What's really interesting is during that time period, my mental health actually took a dip. Like, I stopped going to the gym completely. And I've talked about this in other videos, my more self-improvement videos. I stopped going to the gym. Me and my girl were still cool. But I wasn't like investing time in her, really, like that. And the issue was that, and it was a trade-off. I was so invested in taking responsibility over my skill set and over getting better, and I left no other option on the table. It wasn't like, how could the company get better? I still wanted to help the company get better, and I still offered improve ideas. I was giving them ideas for improvements, all those things. But it wasn't like, for me, it wasn't like, I'm going to offload. If I don't close this sale and the guy gives me money objections, I'm not going to go like, we should have screened him better. No, I'm like, there had to be a way to close. There had to be a way. And if there really wasn't a way, I would just be like, hey, next time I'll do better. I'm not even going to question or look at, hey, team, do better. Of course, at scale over a span of time, I'd be like, hey, show up rates can improve. Hey, I'm getting this kind of objection, and I see that's a pattern. Maybe as an organization, we can do this differently. And it led me to taking more responsibility and eventually managing the offer right and like training the setter and all that stuff. So it helped me be in a better position. But I took so much responsibility that it actually took away to my personal life because I was putting so much pressure on myself to perform. And I won't even say it was negative pressure. Some people would say it's bad, it's good. It's not bad or good. It just was what I did. It was necessary for me to become at that level where, again, you see that version of me now, where I'll get onto a role play with anyone, throw 20 people at me in a group, where they're all looking at me, and I'll just be able to cut and role play. I'll be able to train my people. I'll go on an offer and watch someone else's calls and get them better and have their close percentage go up, right? That's the level I'm at now. And you guys understand that because you watch me, right? You wouldn't be looking at me if it wasn't the case. But the point I want to make is, like, I took so much responsibility over my skill set, over my mindset, over everything that had to do with sales, and I didn't offload any of it. And because I took that extreme responsibility where every non-close was my fault, it allowed me to then invest the intellectual capital to be in a position where I would see extreme success. Right? So it allowed me not just money, but the intellectual capital, because I took the responsibility and I wasn't offloading anything. I wasn't like, this offer could be better, man. And by the way, even when I was on the shit offer, because this mindset started not on the good offer where I started having more success, it started on the crap offer, which was a bad offer. The fucking dude running it was a scammer. I wish I could shout his name out, but I have that boundary. I will never talk crap about people. Oh, I'd say their name. I won't do that. I'll hint. And I will keep hinting, especially as we keep making more trainings and we get more into sales. I'm going to start talking about some people who are putting some stuff out that's scamming y'all, to be honest, if you watch their stuff. But anyway, to not get sidetracked, like, dude, I was on a crap offer. The dude has lawsuits against him now because of that offer, and I, at the end of the offer, the last two weeks of the offer, when I realized it was burning down and it was shit, I was telling guys who were coming on my calls, guys and girls that we were closing for this biz op, it was like appointment setting, become an appointment setter. I was telling them, hey, like, I don't know if you should do this. And I would help have some people invest if they were like, I'm really down. But at a certain point, I was like, I don't know if we can help you, because I started feeling wrong about even selling it. And then some of those people, we still talk, and they asked for me to help them get chargebacks and stuff like a couple months later, which I did because the offer was crap and the man was scamming people. But anyway, the point I'm making is, even when I was on that offer, I took responsibility, right? Like, I took responsibility for the non-closes. Even if they weren't screened, even if the setter just threw them in my calendar and they were financially unqualified, it was like, how can I get better? Even when I feel like I can't because I'm doing everything I can, how can I get better still? How can we get better? How can I improve? How can I win? How can I help the team win? Right? That's what it became, right? And it wasn't just that. Another mindset, and I'm going to give you 5, so we're at number 4. And the 5th one is really powerful, but it goes beyond just closing. So if you want kind of the next level, watch the 5th one. It's going to help you. But the 4th one for me was, I started aiming for perfection. And I began to respect every single aspect of the call. I valued perfection over effort. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. There's an interesting thing. I know a lot of you guys watch sales materials and sales training. So one thing I decided I'm going to do is start talking more about people in the sales space. Not talking shit, nothing bad like that. But I'm just going to start sharing more, about things that I see going on in sales inside the sales game. And there's a closer out there who's done very well for himself. He's made more money than me. He was closing on one of the biggest offers in the space. He's kind of new in the market as far as coaching. He's been in it for like maybe 6 to 8 months, similar to me as a coach, and I respect him a lot. I've sent people to his community, and he talks a lot about, you don't have to be the best to make a bunch of money, which is true. He emphasizes follow-up. Be a dog. Follow up people. Hunt people. Call them. And I've sent some of my people even to him to learn about follow-up, because I'm not a follow-up guy. Straight up. Like, and this is the point I'm going to make. I'm not a follow-up guy. I was never the guy chasing leads around. Because to be honest, I fucking hate doing that. I hate it. And to me, what I would always do, and I do this in my business now, this is how we run it. I value like perfection and the skill set and getting as good as possible over the effort. I do. Doesn't mean you don't put an effort, but my effort is directed. All my energy and effort is directed to the boredom and the long haul of just mastery of the craft of the game. And I don't know anyone personally. Maybe there's 1 or 2 guys I can think of actually that I do know, probably. So not anyone. There's a very small handful of guys that I know that can handle objections as well as me, as an example. Throw me an objection, and realistically, if it can be handled, if someone's like, I don't like your program, I'm like, I can't help you there. You don't like what we do. But you give me something, any kind of objection, I'll rip it and I'll handle it, right? To the best of my ability. And I don't know anyone personally that I've worked with right now who's as good at me as doing that. We got a couple guys in pro who are very, very good, actually. Some of them are really elite. I'll break down some calls for you guys. But yeah, I don't know many people who are as good as I am at that, right? But this guy, this closer who I respect a lot, he's a trainer in the sales space, and again, I think he's amazing. Actually, I have nothing negative to say about him at all. He's one of the more talented guys. He emphasizes, he's like, Don't try to, he's like, respect the game, get good, of course. But his whole angle is like, just follow up like a maniac and you'll make a bunch of money. And I would have made more money if I would have done that, right? But for me, which was interesting, and you have to decide for yourself if this is the path you want to take. For me, I always valued perfection over the effort. And again, the effort doesn't mean don't work hard, because I worked harder than anyone in the programs I was in, the coaching programs I was in. I worked harder than all those MFs. I don't want to get censored. So those, I worked harder than all of them. But I worked hard in terms of perfection. I valued being perfect. And this is the thing I emphasize for the people I train too. We emphasize perfection, which is why our program is the hardest program in the industry. There isn't a program as hard as ours. Like, we emphasize perfection. And I emphasize that in myself. That's a standard I have for myself. In my sales process, I want it to be perfect. I want my understanding of the psychology to be perfect. And because I emphasize this perfection, I was able to have months where I was pushing really good comms, more than a lot of, like 90% of people that are in high ticket remote sales. I was able to push that because I valued perfection so much. Right, so my energy wasn't focused on like just the effort of hunting people, which I think is amazing, but I just didn't want to do that because that shit's fucking hard to me, and I'm like, I don't want to be hunting people. I'd rather just become so damn good on the calls that I can max out everything on my calls, and then if I want to do follow up as a luxury and add another 2-3K in revenue, I can. Right, so for you have to think of who you want to become. I'm telling you, and one of the things that helped me was valuing perfection. I became obsessed with getting it perfect. And one guy who I think is amazing at this, shout out to one of the guys in our program, is Charlie. We did an interview with him recently. We have it on the page. You guys can, again, look at the sales stuff. He's one of my guys in the sales playlist. Charlie, how he hit 19K in comms. He hit 19K in comms November, I believe. December, I think. I'm shooting this December 19th. So I think from last I checked in, he's like around 10, 12, slower month. Charlie's a guy like that. He values perfection. For him, it's all about perfection. And he puts in massive effort with follow-up too. He uses some of those other follow-up strategies from the other guy I told you. He like stacked them in. But the reason he was doing all these commissions, 90% of his comms come from perfection, from absolute obsession over the game. From I will be a 40%, 45%, 50% closer. Right, I will be that. Another one's Joe, another guy. We just put his interview out. Like, they're valuing perfection, and this is what I do with my guys and my people. It's, you have to freaking earn your stripes, but you earn them by obsessing over perfection. I will not make mistakes. I will get everything handled. It will be perfect. This is me, right? This is how I am. It's again, it has a drawback because you end up driving yourself crazy with perfection. You do 100%. It scares people. And I say that because I'm like, if this is not for you, then hey, don't talk to me. Like, I'm not going to help you because that's what I do. But once you do it and you see the madness, you can see through the madness, and you respect the game at that level, your whole life changes, your whole game changes, everything changes in the way you see the world, everything at the highest levels, right? And this is how our people make money. Number 5. Before I go to number 5, I'll do I always put this little pitch in the middle of the video. It's free. I'm not going to sell you anything. Like I always say, I don't have anything to sell you here. I'm not going to pitch you a course or something, but we have a free community. I'm pitching you something, but it's free. We have a free community. It's on School. It's the best sales training community on School. That's a fact. And again, by the way, guys, I'm working on myself making honest claims, because I always I'm working on a coach with this, by the way, about purpose and fulfilling my purpose and my path in life. And me and him are working together. We just started. He's a great dude. And one of the things he told me is like starting to be unapologetic with who I am and my purpose and mission, but owning the things I'm good at, being honest, right? Fully. And not just qualifying them. And I tend to always be like, oh, we're not that good. But the things that I genuinely believe, I'm going to share them and just be straight up real with them. So I'm telling you live, I'm doing this as an exercise to you. And I know I'm ranting in this video, so if you turn it off now, kill our watch time, I forgive you. But we run the best community. The community itself is not like the thing. I mean, I'm not posting 24/7 to the community. That's not where my focus is. My focus is on the people I train, that are invested with us. But the sales materials we have are the best ones in the industry. Because I go into detail on the psychology. So all this stuff that I'm talking about here, I break down the fundamental frameworks of it in the School community for free. We have a whole course. There's like little, the 3 top courses are all free, and they're like full length courses. I show my calls. We have call reviews in there. I think we have a couple of those. We have breakdowns of like how to handle objections. I give you the full protocols for everything, how to handle fear objections, finances. I got to talk to the wife, all of it. I break down in detail in the School community, and it's free. Like, it's literally free. The downside is we don't approve everyone, because there's some people that just, I'm like, I don't know if you're taking this very seriously. Just in the profile, you're saying weird stuff. I don't like what I'm getting. You have like a cartoon character as your profile. I'm not letting you in, right? But if I get someone requesting, you look competent, you look like you're in the game, you look like you want to be in the game, and you're doing your best, we'll put you in. So request to join it. It's called Quantum Level. It's in school. We made a bunch of people money from this community, and it's free. It costs you nothing except for a bit of time. Go through it, and then we do free trainings on Thursdays too, so you can come in there and hang out. All right, but we'll continue. So the last point is I attached the game to the vision. That was the last one. So one of the things that's like dangerous in the game of sales, I think, especially remote sales. I'm not talking about if you get a job as a sales dude, but like remote sales, you know, where you're not a 9 to 5er, but you're a contractor taking calls from Zoom, you know, high ticket remote sales. One of the dangerous things is going in without a vision, I think. And this happens to a lot of people who fall prey to the biz ops. And I see it on YouTube a lot. And I'm going to talk more about this in coming videos, guys. I'm going to go in. I'm just going to be myself from now on this channel and just help you guys as much as I can. That's kind of my commitment for now, for the foreseeable future. There's a lot of dudes on YouTube I see who are posting content, posting information that's designed to like show like a flashy lifestyle, which is cool. It's good marketing. It's really good marketing. It gets people bought in, right? The people who are like, oh, it's exciting and flashy. How can I talk to you? That works. It works. But what's interesting is there's like not a lot of times for these people coming in, there's no real vision behind it. So when we bring people in, when we train our people, I'm always asking them like, what's your vision and why are you doing this? Right? Like, what's the reason behind the behind you coming in and training with me? Who do you want to be? Can you see it? So what changed everything in my sales game, a big thing that changed for me was I attached the game of sales to the vision of who I wanted to become. So it wasn't just like I'm going through the motions and I'm just doing sales, right? We call this in our program, we have a section in our program called the rite of passage. And in the rite of passage, what we do is we assess, we're like, what's the vision? What's the vision? What's the vision? What are you working on? What are you doing? What are you training for? Why are you here? Let's keep it alive. Let's keep the fire burning, right? We call it the rite of passage. So I attached the game to the vision, right? And I begin to understand why I was doing this. I built a vision in my head, and I get this from the book Psycho-Cybernetics. I think he calls it this in the book. It's a principle. I don't know if this is the exact name he gives it, but it's the exact same principle he talks about. Is called future memory, where you visualize and see, and you begin to almost remember the future, like an experience you had that represents who you want to become. So if you want to be this dude who's making a bunch of money, has a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, I don't know if you want that, but you want that in your life. You visualize being that man who has provided for a family and has love in his life and has companionship and has abundance, has freedom, and you purposefully create an experience in your head where you see it, you become it, and you bring it into your present, right? And you embody that. So what happened was I understood my why, and I channeled that why into the calls. So every call that I was doing wasn't just, oh, I'm going through the motions trying to close, but I embodied that man who makes money. Right? I became that man who has abundance. I became that man who has freedom. And this is not some woo-woo spiritual hippy dippy shit. Maybe you could make it that if you wanted to, but I'm not trying to make it that. I embodied who that man was and who that man was becoming, right? And who that man is in his future. And I brought those behaviors onto my calls. So I thought, like, the man who is in that position, how competent is he on his calls? That man values mastery. That man doesn't just chase people around hoping to close some deals, makes a bunch of money, but he's hunting. Because I don't want to be the guy who's the hunter. I want to be the guy who's the sniper, right? I want to be the dude who puts in good effort. I'm a hard worker. Hell yeah, I'll show up to my calls. If there's someone who's a hot lead, I'll chase him down. I'll make the money. I've closed many people like that. But I'm like, I'm not gonna put my focus on I have to do that. For me, it's like I'm the fucking sniper and I'm so good and I'm better than everyone else. I'll just close and I'll handle whatever objection you throw at me. Thus leading to, again, what you see now, and I'm still becoming that man, but I'm on the way there, right? And thus you're listening to me. Hopefully you found value in this. So that's it. Those are the mindsets. I'll do a little summary, but I stopped treating sales I'll read my notes. I stopped treating sales as a get rich quick opportunity. So instead I started respecting the game. It wasn't like I'm in this to get rich, to make the money, which again, I want to do that, but I stopped treating sales as just like a little piggy bank or like, or as a genie. Hey, I rub the lamp and I hop from offer to offer, and then I get the right one and I make money. It doesn't work that way. I started respecting the game. I shifted my mindset from I want the money quick to like I want mastery, right? Number two is I became obsessed with understanding human behavior. So not as a gimmick, but for real, on some real shit. I became obsessed with human behavior, right? Then I started taking full responsibility. for my actions, for my closes, for my non-closes. I took full responsibility. I was like, how can I be better? Everything is on me. It's on my shoulders. It's my fault. And I embodied that and I lived that. And it fucking sucked. YouTube's gonna kill me. It sucked. Trust me, it sucked. But I owned it and I embodied it. And then I aimed for perfection. So I shifted my consciousness from, I'm this way naturally, actually, so I didn't have to change this mindset. But I focused on how can I master the entire game through in every aspect of the call. So I was like, I want that to be perfect. I want the scripting to be perfect. I want the tone to be perfect. I want my eye contact to be perfect. I want the energy to be perfect. I do that on my YouTube videos. Like I'm cycling, right? I'm cycling. This is a new work in progress. And I've committed to building this channel and really providing more value, but doing it my way. Not to just try to throw a wide net and get everybody to just look at me, but to do it my way with my values, which we're going to do. And then number 5 is I attached the game to the vision. So on the call, while playing the game, I attached it to the vision. Who do I want to become and what's the life I want to have? What's the life I want to lead? What's the life I want to live? I attached it, okay? That's it. That's all I've got for you. Hopefully it's landed and meant something to you in some way. That's what I do these for. And that's it. If you found value, keep diving in, keep learning. Let's make a bunch of money. There's money to be had. Again, if you wanna come in and see what we do, just join the school community. It's free. You got nothing to lose by doing that. And we'll see you there. Okay, goodbye. Make money. Push hard. Do not give up. Wake up. Don't get distracted by all the distractions that are around you in the haze. Wake up. Get out of it. Make money. Set yourself free. Okay, my friend, I'll see you on the next one. Be blessed. Be blessed.